was saying, OS didn't have a great start to APAC South last week. There was some real struggles. And Seventh Heaven, they had a good start. Maybe they have been slept on a little bit. They're looking strong so far. But to that point also, the last time they played Oregon at this level was against Scars in APAC North in Stage 2. And that was actually a loss to Scars, who actually ended up being arguably one of the weakest teams in APAC North. So I think Seventh Heaven do have some struggles on this map.
Definitely a lot of things to keep in the back of our minds here, as both of these teams have developed quite a bit since that point. Now, kind of an unusual ban coming out from Seventh Heaven is the Yana. Now, I've got the stats from APAC North last year when they played this map, and they never banned Yana on Oregon. In fact, I don't think they banned Yana even once across the whole season. So that sounds like a bit of a surprise to me. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on that, Raven.
I think it's just a strong operator at the moment, and particularly helpful on Oregon. You get the info with Yana's Gemini replicator, but also she brings the Gon 6 and frag grenades. So, a lot of utility in that operator. It's something we did see Elevate play a bit in Oceanic Nationals against Team Bliss earlier this week. So maybe that can just be some counter-stratting there. Regardless, I think just given the strength of Yana at the moment, it can be helpful.
Diving into Oregon, though. Laundry supply taken, and it looks like it's a no Thatcher kind of game and a no Mira kind of game. So that really does change the general environment of what you're looking at. Lots of hard breaches on the board, but it's going to be kind of hard to clear all those mute jammers and such. That's why you've got the Maverick brought from Fishogai. In particular, it's always that meeting hatch where Thatcher and Maverick are banned. It's just so difficult to get open as long as Kaid's on the board. Not, though, in this case. We do have, however, the Aruni, something that, well, we've only started to see this season, but we've started to get a little bit of an impression of how it's going to look so far, which I'm pretty keen for. I think she's a really good op.
Yeah, bit of a taste so far. I personally felt like we should be getting, a fair amount of play. We're starting to see it rotate in a bit more. So I'm excited to see what Seventh Heaven will do with the Rooney on Oregon. And certainly I've seen a few other teams execute with her really well. Particularly those hatch gates, I feel like are becoming pretty helpful in late game, because sometimes you don't get hatches open in particular until late in your attack phase. And if you still got a gate to clear, you might have to burn a drone, which could be a large drone. So then you have to go into site with no info. Oh!
Ooh. Okay, there was a spawn pick somewhere. Is Ed going to get out alive? Just barely dodges it, and that's see you later to Digital. We like to rag on Digital a little bit, but oh man, he did not deserve that fate.
That is unfortunate. Looks like it was from Garage there. ED with the spawn peak. Nice and early, making a statement for the Southeast Asian team here, 7th Heaven. And that is going to put Elevate back into a bit of a box and have to think about their approach. And, it's something that doing that in the first round, it means that the attacking team is going to think about it for the rest of their half. They're going to be just wondering, are they still trying to spawn peak somewhere? Are we watching for our peaks? It's going to make that approach to building probably just a bit more slower, with a bit more hesitation.
Bit of work done here on the freezer hatch, though, from Fisho. Now, funnily enough, we saw the Aruni gate, Syria gate, dispatched earlier on the meeting hatch. Nice little way to kind of slow down that attack, even once that hatch is open, which looks like that's Fisho's next objective here, to do this hatch. He's going to use Worthy to do it instead, a bit faster that way.
Good map control and good recovery from Elevate so far to be able to push through. Again, you're going to see that gate on the hatch. It's something that's going to have to be thought of. And now, the meta count has been equalized, Souffle being taken out. So that will make things more comfortable for Elevate. And they've still got 90 seconds left in this round, so they've really recovered to be in a great spot.
And that is one of the best players, if not the best player from 7th Heaven. Triple Lift was his name last season. He's rebranded. He's the second highest rated player in APAC South from Playday 1 and the highest rated on his team from last season.
Definitely a danger player to look out for. So good to have him out. Give him a slow start. His line scans are going to try and help initiate, and Vast follows it up to get that next pick. So Elevate again. Moving forward here, they're going to have that man advantage. God Legion looks set, but no, he doesn't see Pecan hiding in the spot right next to the stairs.
That does mean the Aruni has this flank opportunity, and we'll see. Can Elevate punish this? 39 seconds left to go. And what looks to be a strong start is perhaps slowing down now. Elevate, they managed to flood this side, and now it's all on Pika. Looking to flank that Lion Gate, or that Lion Scan, just keeping him at bay, trying to make a makeshift rotate hole, but time is ticking away. The final E1D does ring on out, and that roar will stop Pico once again. The fuse are likely secured, and it'll have to be a nuts 1 versus 2 clutch here from the Aruni. The P10 Roni in hand. Oh, how do you... what on earth was that? Come on, mates. Fisher guy finally swings the corner, but my goodness, was my heart in my throat. That swing and the whiff. Goodness me.
Jeez, yeah, I didn't actually catch Fisher Guy's HP in the end, but lucky to be alive he was. Good recovery from Elevate. They got that spawn peak done to them, you know, right at the start. Not great. Digital being the sledge player, it's vert, it's nades. You know, it's really not a good operator to lose early, and let alone, you know, the first round of this match in Apex South tonight, getting spawn peaked never feels great, but the bounce back from Elevate was really good. I loved the use of the Lion. It just helped them at every instance they wanted to progress through that attack, putting the roamers off site, or at least allowing them to hard push onto the anchor site, anchor operators, so that they can actually get in that position for the plan.
So it's a good start here for Elevate. Now, we were a bit torn, and the analysts were a bit torn on the pre-show desk. You know, there's been a little bit of a skepticism surrounding Elevate and a little bit of optimism surrounding Seventh Heaven. And for Seventh Heaven's side, right, they beat Wildcard. Oh, sorry, not Wildcard. They beat Order last week, which was a fantastic upset, probably the biggest upset of the day, coming from Seventh Heaven, who barely stayed out of relegation, was almost in fact relegated last season. And Elevate on the flip side have just had a really disappointing 2020 overall, and then coming into 2021 they made those big roster changes, bringing on Fisho and Milo, of course, who's a member of support staff, both from the former Noble or Meloncat roster. Big additions, but we still weren't necessarily convinced yet, and yet there is that first strong attack round despite that early setback of the spawn peak, so maybe things are looking a little bit better for them.
Something that has started to stand out for me is just they look to be a lot more steady than they were last year. You know, Elevate, when things started to go bad, they just went bad. Whereas now it feels like when they've got adversity, maybe it's through the extra leadership of Fisho Guy in particular, he's in a bit more of a support role. He seems to be that steady hand that they really needed last year. And so I think as we see their season progress, we will start to see them grow, and they've started to get victories in the Nationals. So searching for that first victory in Apex South tonight.
Map control taken for Elevate. God Legion on the front line. A player that you've had extensive experience with, Raven, being his coach and the coach of this team for quite some time. And yeah, God Legion, he's just known for being a really, really hot shot, but he hasn't been quite so hot recently. I feel like 2021, though, is a new chance for him to get back his confidence. We saw him get an ace last week, I believe it was, in OCN. And he's really stepped up his game.
Absolutely. When he's up and firing, he's really dangerous. He's definitely one of the sharper players for the Oceanic region. And, you know, that can definitely be a testament to the fact that maybe the support aspect just wasn't there for them last year, and that was where they struggled. God Legion had a bad year, but you know, it's more than just being an entry player. You need a good support player to be able to get those frags and to have a good season. And so maybe that's really what he was missing. So with that steadying hand, again, going back to the Fisho Guy, maybe that's really going to help him pick up his performance.
All the puzzle pieces fit together. Pika on the other side. Just failed that clutch last round, but still dealt some damage. What is that from Fisho? Even with the drone, it wasn't enough, and Seventh Heaven take 2 bites. Elevate left reeling at the moment, desperately trying to push blue is Digital. The player spawn peaked last round. He may well just got peaked with a nade in his hands. What a fate, the second time in a row. Pika looking to chew off another one. Worthy finally shuts him down, putting Elevate in a 2 versus 4. And things not looking too hot right now.
Yeah, really tough position right now in that 2 versus 4. Fast. He's going to make his position known from the hatch because Worthy has Pillar, but they're very well spotted. And this last E1D will come out to try and get them some teeth into this attack.
Inside the Banshee, Fast hasn't checked the corner in supply yet. That meets his doom, and Ray finds the final 2 kills. And, well, rinse and repeat for 7th Heaven. They couldn't get Laundry on the first go, so they tried again and lock it down.
Lock it down, they did. There's a much better defense from them, and I think something that really helped is they never let Elevate get that opening. As simple as that, you know, like Elevate were really hard pushing to answer back to the spawn peak in round 1, and in round 2, there seemed like a little less urgency to actually get that pick. You know, they got good map control, but by the time they really peaked to try and get that Pillars control, they were only giving themselves about a minute as opposed to 90 seconds in round 1. And on top of that, they lost that engagement. And as you were saying, it was a very aggressive pick for Fishoguy, the Maverick player, and to lose him, it really stunted the whole push, because even if they did get full blue control, losing the Maverick meant it was going to be tough to get those walls open anyway. So it was a hard comeback on Elevate.
Definitely a risky gunfight there for Fisher to take. We've been singing his praises as a support player, and well, he's got a good number of kills so far from the first round, but yeah, definitely all fell apart when he died there. Perhaps the idea was Fisher from blue to pinch and peek at the same time as God Legion from the stairs, but they just both lost 2 separate 1v1s, and there was no way that they could help each other or trade each other off that, so they fell apart. And now we'll see if Elevate can deal with this Dorms attack. Looking good though for 7th Heaven. I don't know about you, I feel like Oregon is a map where you could easily go a 3-3 half, maybe a 4-2 to the defense, but I'm not convinced. I think that if 7th Heaven couldn't get 3 on their defense, they'd probably be pretty concerned though.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like if it is a 3-3, that's probably more of a win to the attack. You know, once you rotate onto that defense, I do feel like it is still more comfortable on a map like Oregon. But we do see time and time again 3-3 halves on this map. It can be a really close map. I feel like I've seen countless overtimes on Oregon. So you do know that it can be that even match, and even just the 4-2 halves can be traded back and forth. So I think for Elevate, you know, the benchmark is to really try and get at least 3 of these attacks, and then that's a great spot to be rotating on for the second half.
Aggressive from Pika, and he meets his doom. Digital finds his first kill this game thanks to the line that Maverick had opened up. Nice little way that it's just a line at the very bottom, so it's almost impossible for the defenders to contest that because they'd have to go prone, whereas Digital's got that kind of reduced elevation of the stairs. It really helped him there.
Yeah, really nice play to get that opening pick. It looks like they're going to be putting a lot of pressure into this attic, taking this nice and early. It's going to be up to Ray to try and hold this off as the Melusi, and so hopefully some of those Banshees can at least assist him. Probably hoping that Pecan survived a bit longer, right? So that the magnets could be catching more of these projectiles. Might not be too hard for Elevate to be able to flush him out from that window position.
Oh, speaking of, that second nade missed, but fortunately there are 2 more that are flown on through. It's a lot of nades expended now. In fact, none left of the 4 that Elevate brought to the table. Minute 20, and well, Elevate are kind of pushing everything all at once.
Yeah, pretty spread out. So it's a good start. Starting to run out of time a little bit though, you know, like they're really going to want to try and find a better opening here, and it looks like they're starting to push that with God Legion, really putting pressure in towards the games room from Trophy. And this is where it's going to be big for 7th Heaven. They're going to have to try and really repel this initial entry from Elevate onto site.
Ray holding down the lines. Souffle still alive. It's a strong player to keep out for. Ray desperately trying to pre-fire. You can see, you can just palpably feel he's getting pressured, and he knows that they're coming for him. That E1D scan goes on through. Plant going down from Worthy. God Legion makes his entry ready for a second as well. But there's the C4. Vast goes down. Diffuser still going down. God Legion finds another on the entry. Elevate have the objective, but 7th Heaven have fought back just on Ed now in a 1 versus 3, and I think this may be in the bag for Elevate. God Legion's hungry for another, but he's shot down. That's a gnarly shot there from Ed. Only got to find 2 more, but time is ticking away. Just the SMG-11 here, can't go for the long pre-fire. Worthy, after getting that plant down, shuts him down. And Elevate find their second attack win in 3 rounds.
Yeah, really good attack from Elevate. Honestly, they gave themselves a lot of time. They got that opening kill. And then once they cleared out Attic, it was still 90 seconds left in the round. And Attic is just such a power position, especially if you're trying to get that game's plant. So fantastic job from them. 7th Heaven weren't able to hold it off. And if Guz and Zedux are here, you know, they love to talk about it. Top floor being the real critical bomb site when you're on defense. If you're not winning your top floor, in their theory, you know, like it's really hard to come out with the win on the match. So the fact that Elevate have been able to win that is it's a solid sign so far, and they're up 2-1 in their attack half. We're saying, you know, a 3-round half for them would be a great pass mark, and they're only 1 round off that.
Yeah, Elevate's definitely put themselves into a strong position, and you know, looking at last week's game against Knights, while we were a bit disappointed in their performance, they still managed to get 4 rounds on Chalet, which I feel like for this team, this roster basically being pretty fresh, right, with Fisher on board, that's a pretty decent go against what, you know, we at the time and potentially is still believed Knights to be the best team in OC. But then Elevate went to OCN afterwards, and they managed to get a 7-5 revenge story over the Knights. So we're starting to see them slowly getting better and better. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. I think the guys were talking in the pre-show. Which Elevate are we going to see? Are we going to see the Elevate from APAC South last week, or the one from OCN last week? And I'm starting to feel like it's the latter.
Definitely agree with you there, Dev. Feels like there's some really good cohesion and team play from Elevate so far. And the scoreboard certainly says so. Just noticed on 7th Heaven, you know, there's still 2 players that are on 0. One of those is Sino on the smoke, of course playing support, but Souffle being the other. Now, you highlighted him as we came in as probably the strongest player on 7th Heaven, and the fact that he has not been able to get that scoreboard pressure 3 rounds into their defense, I think that's really a big factor that is affecting 7th Heaven right now.
Defense is ready!
Deploying a drone.
Nice strategy here from 7th Heaven. A hard hold of tier 3 here with the Wamai, but in comes the utility, and Pecan is absolutely abused in that corner. God Legion, I believe from below, shoots an Ash Charge, destroys his shield. Now Pika put under pressure. People are watching his every move, and Elevate start to circle like vultures.
Yeah, it feels like if he's going to be prone in this corner, he may be able to get his feet from below. I think that's what God Legion's trying. And in the end, ED actually gets the opening pick onto Bars. They are still trying hard to get Pecan, but they cannot get him out of this position. He's burned almost half the round, and Elevate have lost a man in the process. This is definitely turning into a really solid win for 7th Heaven in the first half of this round.
Surely they can punish him! Oh, this isn't going to work out! He finds God Legion. Fisher Guy did punish Ray in the meanwhile. Still, this Wamai is unpunished and still has magnets to catch out those nades. Finally, Elevate deal with him, but it is just too much, too high a price for such a little reward. 7th Heaven have most certainly won that mid-round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they traded 2 for 2, but I just think that the time and damage on top of that was so important for 7th Heaven, and losing Vast on that line, those E1Ds have been very helpful. And God Legion, his fragging power, yeah, I think it's a really well-played start to this round for 7th Heaven, and it hasn't given Elevate a whole lot to get things working. They did finally, you know, clear out Attic. I'm not even sure they know they've got that control, because there was a player shooting back, but he did return the meeting. And now it's just going to be a very rough little push to site here. I think it's just going to have to be enabled by Elevate getting an opening pick.
Where the diffuser in his pocket. Starts to make his way inside, planting very, very far back. That's a C4, but Worthy baits out that diffuser. Very well played from the Hibana. Elevate desperately trying to cover. ED finds Fisho Digital, gets the refrag onto another player, and then caught up. It's all on Worthy. He got that diffuser down, and now he has to clutch against 2.
He's rotated into Kitchen, though. I'm not sure whether 7th Heaven are particularly aware of this. Weedy peeks out, but no, it's going to be Sino. He gets the shot onto Worthy. Really well played from 7th Heaven there to get that, and that is going to equal out that scoreline at 2-2.
Defenders have disabled the bomb diffuser.
Really well played from 7th Heaven on the retake, despite Worthy baiting out that C4, getting the plant down, and then also putting himself in a decent position for that clutch. So massive credit to 7th Heaven for bringing that back. Combination of the flank, of players in meeting and Kitchen. They were always together, right? Even at the end there, when they went for that disable, there was a player ready to contest Worthy and make sure that as soon as they knew where he was, they were going to punish him.
Punish him, they did. I mean, look, the hero was really was it Pecan up in the tower?
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable effort to be able to dodge everything that Elevate were throwing at him. But I really think what failed Elevate there is there wasn't much of a different direction in that pinch, right? Like they were trying to absolutely spam things like the flashes and nades and the ash charges from below to get him out of there. And he kept checking, the 2 second tier windows, but nobody there. And I just think that was really where Elevate failed in that attempt to clear out towers. They just needed a different direction for him to genuinely worry about, or at least be caught out on. Sure, it's risky. It's a bit more of a direct gunfight. But if you're not doing that, you're kind of just wasting utility in the end anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened, especially because of the nature of the Wamai, right? You can throw in all these flashbangs and flash the Wamai, but then he's going to get another disc pop into his pocket he can throw out. And that's exactly what happened when finally Elevate decided to try and get a nade in on him. It was just too late. Ooh, nice bit of drone hunting there from Pecan. I really don't know what to call him because last season his name was Pikachu and now it's Pecan. So I don't know whether it's Pika or Pecan. I probably need to go and ask him, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I've been saying Pecan, so we'll be corrected. As we were lovely corrected about ED as well. I'm glad that is now something that we know. But look, here we go. There's a lot of defenders still roaming around here in towards dining side. Souffle tagged up early. Maybe a little cheeky spawn peek there, Dev.
Yeah, just a really aggressive early roam. Now the line is the tool employed by Elevate to try and thwart that. A lot of drones have already been taken out now for Elevate. You'll see they've only got 8 left in total. 3 of which are in the pocket, 5 in the field. Okay, so remember this is basement, right? With all this activity going on off-site, Elevate are really focusing on punishing these roamers, and my main concern is what if all the defenders just get back to the site now without losing a player? It's going to be difficult, but that's not going to happen after all. God Legion does get the injure on Souffle, and Worthy finds ED, so a very, very successful roam clear here for Elevate.
That being said, still a defender on the first one. Looks like it's Classroom based on that outline, so if... Oh no, it's Armory Stairs. This is where Elevate are going to have to be careful, because sure, they've got 2 picks that are on the roam now. But are they aware that Ray's still around? Yep, okay. Question answered, drone just spotted him. And he's about to walk straight into the face of Digital, but oh my god, it's Digital's face that's met with a bullet. And that is going to at least get 1 back for 7th Heaven.
Well, the onus on Elevate to decide, are they going to punish and hunt down this player, or are they going to try and ignore him and push the site, cut him off? The risk of pushing him is if they do it one at a time, they may well just give him more 50-50 gunfights, but fortunately Worthy takes a passive angle, Ray runs straight into him. Now it's 2 versus 4 for 7th Heaven. Nice little gas through the wall will slow down Elevate's push, but it's a tall order now for Pecan and Sino to clutch.
He's going to make it tough, but it's still definitely doable. They've got some really good positions here, and they've been playing pretty well so far. These 2 have been really solid anchors for 7th Heaven when it's needed. The clock will start to work against Elevate. They've only got 40 seconds. They still need to try and get these drones onto site to figure out what's ahead of them. I was still hearing mute jammers in the way, so I'm not so sure they're going to be able to get in and get that info. And it looks like there's going to be some engagements near this rear tower here, and this could get a bit chaotic for Elevate.
There's the first pick, though, in this execute. Vast taking down Pecan. Sino goes aggressive, but Vast punishes him as well. And Elevate dig their heels in at the end of the round. Make sure not to forfeit their lead. They've furthered it for a 4-2 half.
Looking very good for Elevate. We said a few times, if Elevate can get at least 3 rounds in the attack half, this is probably going to be quite the win for them. I have to agree that their attacks have just looked really good. They were using a bit of time on this roam clear, but they really stuck with it. They're committing to what they want to do, and they're following through with it. It didn't work out when they were trying to attack Kitchen Meeting and clear out that tower player, but it's been working out otherwise. So this is where it gets tricky for 7th Heaven. They've gone for the repeat of Laundry Supply, which is reminiscent of rounds 1 and 2, where it did go to Elevate in round 1. On the repeat, though, 7th Heaven got it. So this is a big move for them.
Funnily enough, they also haven't changed up their operator lineups.
Attackers need to locate
the defenders. Any time that they have defended this up until right now, Pecan, previously on the Aruni, has decided it hasn't been particularly impactful and has gone instead over to the Mozzie, which I think is a good play here. The way that 7th Heaven wants to roam And they did deny quite a few drones at the start of that previous round, but you could pair up the Mozzie and the Mute and go for that roam. You look for those pre-placed drones and start to whittle away at the information available to Elevate, and maybe we'll see a bit more of a successful run.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at that, and it's Aruni is generally an operator. They were using her gates for sight. But if your opponents have such a man advantage when they get to sight, it really negates the effectiveness of those gates. So why not switch to an operator that negates the effectiveness of what Elevate's been doing early rounds, which is the roam clear. So I totally agree. You know, the Mute Mozzie combo, proven many times to be really effective at slowing down the intel gathering on attack. It's something that's seemingly been going very well for Elevate. So I think this is a really good adaptation for 7th Heaven in their last defense round.
The one thing, though, is Elevate have been a lot more cautious with their prep phase drones, and they haven't lost a single one so far. Whereas previously we saw 7th Heaven hunting down those pre-placed drones. That means while there are Mute Jammers and Mozzie Pests to impede those drones, Elevate still have them all, at least for now. Pecan looking to make an aggressive C4 play, but he's liable to be droned out. There it comes.
Reloading.
He's going to rotate back on, though. I was ready to call that the Tower of Pecan there, Dev. If he was going to get a couple of picks, it's definitely his zone. But no, he's just dropped back. So 7th Heaven, again, clearly aware that losing bodies early has been hurting them. So they're not going to commit too hard to this. In fact, there's 4 players in sight now. It's only ED in Garage of all places on this roam. So Elevate, got to be careful of this one.
Yeah, this is ED really just hoping, hey, I reckon I can be extra sneaky back here and they'll never drone me out and I might be able to make a serious play. But it's a big risk, right? Because as soon as Elevate drone him out, he's a dead man.
Yeah, not a tough position to cut off, but it looks like so much of their attention is being put here on the north side through to the basement. He's going to try and drone out these positions, and they're going to see that Pecan is playing close to that blue door. So again, we saw Fisher Guy lose his life early as the Maverick, trying to peek that one out, see whether Elevate can maybe get a tidier clear to get this control.
Pecan finds one, but Worthy does trade. Digital's gone down and his nade's with him. Here's the final nade that Elevate has in the pocket. It is for Fisher, and I believe it just got caught. ED's in a prime position for this flank. Still a lot of time left. No pressure as of yet.
Yeah, really going to come down to these flank drones for Elevate. You've got one dead player. Is he on it? Has this been spotted? Could be their total undoing as ED starts to pick around. It's being beautifully watched, though. Freaks out a little bit and starts to retreat. It's going to be a tough flank for him, so really well covered from Elevate. Now with this 40 seconds in this E1D scan going out, they're going to have to start mounting this attack to something.
Excellent flank watch from Vast, but Elevate can't just watch flanks for the rest of this round. They've got to make an execute happen. 25 seconds, 4v4. Time is ticking away, and Elevate are looking to get desperate. Surely that's a pick for God Legion, but 3v3 now. Bisho cutting off the players inside. Vast looking to make this plant go down. And God Legion has to be careful of his flank as well. God Legion's now gone down. It's just Fisho and Vast. ED on the long angle looking to secure that kill. But Souffle and ED both have to worry about these tiny Maverick holes, and Fisho on the other side! That's a lovely pre-fire. This may well be a 3-3 half, unless Vast, the captain of Elevate, can muster up a clutch. Souffle to cover the flash goes in, but Vast, he has to go! There's no time! And 7th Heaven lock in that half, 3-3.
Defenders win.
Very close end to that round there. I thought with the flash player that Vast was going to rush on through. He would have been able to deny, but wasn't going to be. 7th Heaven, they do secure that 3-3. I still think, though, overall, that is quite the dub for Elevate. You know, they've got themselves in this equal position. They're going to move to this defense half for Oregon. So let's see what they've got in store for 7th Heaven.
Definitely a tight game here, which is pretty much what we expected, right? We were thinking, hey, Elevate's a team that didn't start so crash hot in APAC South, but they started to get things together in OCN, and 7th Heaven, a team that we actually had pretty low expectations of this season, which I feel a bit bad about personally, and I casted them a lot when they were Electrify last year. And look, they weren't the greatest team in APAC North, but they were clearly good enough to escape relegations, if only just. And let's be honest, last year for them was pretty disappointing in terms of their APAC North run. They only won, I believe, what, 3 games across the entire season? Let me double check that. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, they only won 2 games, I believe, at least in Stage 2, against Scars and Talon, who were both teams that weren't really doing too crash hot in the league either. So Seventh Heaven had a lot to prove, but that win over Order last week really, I think, gave us revised expectations of what to expect out of this team.
5 seconds left.
And I think what it means is these two teams are kind of met in the middle now, and they're both quite competitive at each other's level.
Yeah, I agree, and I think on top of that, maybe Seventh Heaven have probably done a lot of hard work, you know, in the off-season. Now they are getting a bit of extra support. They're still keeping the Seventh Heaven name, but they are getting this extra support. So they're able to potentially put more into the game and really tighten things up. You know, sometimes teams will just take a little bit longer to start their rise. On top of that, we've had some pretty dramatic meta changes and just rebalancing of operators and all kinds of things happen since the end of Stage 2 last year. So maybe, again, that has also worked into their favor. But you're right, they are up against a formidable opponent right now. A 3-3 half shows that these teams are pretty evenly matched. I think this is where weaknesses can be shown, is attack halves. So I'm really curious how Seventh Heaven can stay cohesive in these attacks.
We go for a bit of a roam clear for now. Elevate, very loose, all over the map, running around. For Seventh Heaven, their strength against Order really did lie in their defense, as they won 5 out of 6. Whereas they only won 2 out of 4 of their attacks in their attack half. So we'll see if Seventh Heaven can perhaps prove that they are a strong attacking team here with this heavy roam utility set up off-site by Elevate. So, you know, having to deal with this meeting hatch from above.
He's trying to get there, but this is where it's really tricky. Vast here on the Vigil can really pose a danger. They seem pretty aware that somebody may be coming around, but no, actually, I'm so wrong. Pecan, he just goes to run straight past Vast, runs into his gun instead. And that is going to be Elevate successfully getting that first pick on the roam, really stalling out Seventh Heaven here. And now, something I remembered I was going to say earlier is that Elevate did 6 pick from smoke to the Vigil. So they're really making their intent known about how aggressive they wanted that to be. But speaking of aggression, my gosh, Seventh Heaven have just really taken Pillar aggressively here. ED just missing his chance to get God Legion on the rotate.
Like this read from Seventh Heaven, but I think it's been read back now by Elevate. Shots exchanged both ways. Elevate definitely knows Seventh Heaven have ramped up their pressure. They're just going to go deep now, all the way in, and God Legion goes down looking for the flick, but ED's magazine is just too small. Sinnoh goes down as well, and this map control comes back to bite Seventh Heaven. In a 1v2 now, the highlight player, Souffle, with the diffuser in hand, starts to force it down. Worthy and Vast, they wait to regroup. This is going to have to be a retake situation. Souffle does so much damage onto Worthy. Vast coming in just a little bit too late to catch him off guard. There goes the C4 and it finds nothing. And there finally Elevate pinch the player. Get that retake.
Position compromised.
It was a bit of a tough retake, a lot of dancing around happening, but finally Elevate got that timing down pat. Props to them that neither of them really chased or over-peaked Souffle just then. When he got that first initial damage, you know, it can be a bit stressful when you're in like that 2v1 situation. You think you got to go rush and help your teammate, and that can create a mistake. So props to Elevate for not doing that, because they would have just created 1v1s. Souffle really gave Seventh Heaven a good chance there to be able to take that opening attack round, but not to be thwarted by Elevate, and they get to move up to that kids' dorms bomb site.
Way to get back on track now for Elevate. And having a look at their game last week on Chalet against the Knights, they were not so great on their attack or their defense, really. They only won 4 rounds across the map, and it was a split of 2 on each side. But going into Clubhouse last week, they really shone on their attack. They lost the first 2 rounds of their attack half, and then just won the next 4 straight. Really, really strong. A lot of really good late round executes from them as well. Now they're switched on to their defense. I think that they're also going to be pretty comfortable here. Defense is typically where teams feel a little bit less pressure, and I think that's good here for Elevate. The way that they read into that quick execute from 7th Heaven through Pillar at the end of last round gives me pretty good hopes for them here.
Ten seconds left. 5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Yeah, even if Elevate do everything right in terms of their teamwork and you know, the communication, these core fundamental gameplay mechanics that they have been working on as a team, even if they do a lot of those things well, they still struggle with 7th Heaven, who just have some really strong fraggers and do really commit to pushing together. So it's always going to be a struggle. No way this is going to be easy.
I also just realized that nobody heard me because I was muted while my dogs are barking, so sorry guys. Dev heard me though.
You sounded great.
Oh, thanks dude. Good start.
Let everyone in the stream know that Raven always knows what he's talking about, even if you can't hear him.
That's right, thank you. I was saying as well, you know, this is a good start from 7th Heaven because, again, this attic pressure is so important on a Dorms attack. So they're already doing so in this first minute. They're seeing who's going to be holding it is the smoke player, so it's going to be tough to clear out. But regardless, if they do get this control, it's going to give them a really good setup to push towards this execute.
So Guy, that ambitious picking these angles with an SMG-11. Notorious smoke player he is, but he's lost his shield, and this is becoming more and more difficult as a position to hold. What's this next step for 7th Heaven? ED looking to force his way in with flashes, but Fisher Guy buys himself some time and also some HP off of Ed. Fisher Guy still staying alive here. This is the newest player from Elevate, but still one of the most experienced players in the Rainbow Six OS community.
Yeah, look, I think that's a really good time burn from him because it's prevented 7th Heaven from getting out of control for at least the last 45 seconds when they actually had access. And here they go for this aggressive push, and ED comes out on top. Fisher Guy will fall to the Habana, and now this is pressure really against Elevate. Vast is going to have to back up into this corner. He's trying to give himself the best chance possible to take this gunfight from the advancing player. It is going to be Sino, or he just avoids the line of sight.
This is huge now. Vast! Sino doesn't check the angle. There may well be a refrag on the cards as Souffle, the man himself, steps up and takes down that second player. Diffuser now in his hand and full control of the objective, but is his teammate supporting him? Worthy goes down, and Digital as well. It's all on God Legion with the entire of 7th Heaven ready to step up, and they get their first attack round win.
Really great attack as well. Once they got that out of control, it was pretty tough to hold off. I think that was something that Elevate maybe failed to adapt to, but again, it's hard, and I think the downfall was probably not giving Vast enough backup with kids. You know, 7th Heaven were able to trade that out pretty effectively. Souffle pushing in and getting the pick on the Vast meant that they instantly just had that kids control, and pretty hard retake. You saw it happen. They still had attic control. It's pretty easy to cover the kid's door. That's pretty much it. There's no other real access to site. So you really have to just throw more at holding the room before they get access.
Yeah, and add to that the fact that 7th Heaven had a player coming up white stairs and on the big double window of dorms. So those are the main angles in which an Elevate player could have perhaps helped with that kid's hold, right? Maybe playing inside of the big dorms around the bunk, or maybe playing top of white stairs. But they've got their own problems to deal with because there's an Ash player sneaking up their staircase. And it goes to show, I think, that... no, never. But it goes to show, I think, that in this game, right, like, we look at one thing, we see Souffle making an entry, and we credit him with, you know, 90% of the work there, but honestly, it was a team effort from 7th Heaven. Things on the opposite side of the map can happen in perfect coordination and actually work together to achieve the goal that they're looking to get.
10 seconds remaining.
So just something from Elevate here. They haven't gone the repeat, which is something that was big for 7th Heaven. They repeated Laundry Supply, well, 2 times successively. They played it 4 times total. Elevate deciding not to repeat Dorms though. They're going to rotate straight through to Kitchen Meeting. I guess they're just looking to keep 7th Heaven guessing on this attack. Also just keep the momentum fresh. Regardless, again, we're seeing a 4-4 scoreline. I don't know, Dev, this is a very tight game right now.
Yeah. I definitely thought once Elevate got that first defense round, it started to look like they were in control, but that's totally not where this game went. I don't think, yeah, in fact, we've been trading around since the start. It's been Elevate, 7th Heaven, Elevate, 7th Heaven, all the way to where we are now. The trend continues. I guess Elevate's going to win this round, and then we'll see it evened up, and then eventually go to overtime. And who knows where that'll take us at the end of the day. But it's definitely a close game, and I do wonder, you know, where does that leave us with 7th Heaven? My power rankings at the start of the season had them in the last place, but I feel like I really didn't give them enough credit. I don't know, Raven, do you see this as a team that could be a serious threat?
They're starting to feel a lot more like a mid-table team at least, and we won't really fully know until we start to see them play some of those higher table teams like Xavier, for example. On top of the fact that Xavier was a team they competed against last year, so that's a really good way to benchmark it. But in the meantime, I think they are doing a great job. They seem like they're a lot tighter than they were potentially last season. Fisher guy, though, he's going to capitalize onto Stino, and that is the Maverick and Diffuser drops there in Attic. Really trying to hold this control.
It's a big one. Fisher's keen to keep contesting. God Legion finds ED elsewhere, and my God, players are falling like flies. And suddenly, we're in an advantage 7th Heaven scenario. On the opposite side of the map to where we were looking, over on Dorms, that roam looks to be completely cleared out. And while Pecan is low HP, the rest of his teammates are not. And I was going to say same for the Elevate guys, but Worthy's just taken a lick of damage and in a bit of an exposed position. Can he get out alive?
Might do, and he will find a pick as he does, but he runs straight into a teammate. So now in this 1v2 situation, it's all on Digital's shoulders. He's got 2 full HP players to find. 40 seconds to try and hold out. He looks away from the meeting hatch at the wrong time there. Player about to cross that line of sight. This is certainly going to be tough for Digital in this 1v2 situation. Oh, he almost got that pick, Dev. That could have been big.
Takes as much damage as he deals. Souffle on the nastiest angle you've ever seen, and he locks out that round. The 7th Heaven, who finally break the trends and get 2 rounds in a row for the first time on this map.
Breaking the trend indeed, and that was just a crazy round. You know, Elevate jumped out to a 5 versus 3 man advantage, and within about 5 seconds, it became a 3v2 against them. Just really good backing up from 7th Heaven and capitalizing on the aggression of the roam and the positions they had on that attack. Elevate letting that one slip, and now it becomes dangerous. They're going to have to go back to Laundry, sure, if they can win that, 5-5, but not showing good signs for their other 2 sites. So even if they go 5-5, you know, you could potentially back in 7th Heaven to close it out at the 7-5 scoreline.
Yeah, for Elevate to actually come out of this game with the full 3 points, they would have to go flawless from here. They'd have to go defend Laundry, and then, you know, 2 out of the other 3 sites available succeed in all those, end up with a 7-5. Anything less than that, and they're losing at least that 1 point, potentially the whole game. So there's a lot on the cards now for Elevate, and I think that pressure is starting to ramp up as well. You add to the fact that they're currently sitting at 0 points on the APAC South League standings, whereas 7th Heaven already have a comfortable win under their belt against what we thought was being one of the top teams of Order. So Elevate definitely have their work cut out for them, and they can't let up from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, we will see Order play a bit later as well, but certainly when I was watching that, felt like they were playing a bit shook. I don't know, they didn't quite look right. But regardless, we'll see whether they can back it up and change their stars later. But right now, 7th Heaven are aligning their stars. They've taken the lead against Elevate. And this is going to be really big here. Worthy on a massive roam over in this small tower. Who knows whether he's been spotted right here, but this really could be the opening pick.
What a player as well. Worthy's been on top form recently. About to be droned out, though, by ED. What's he going to do now? Is he going to commit, stay here, and potentially be barraged with utility? Or is he going to try and get aggressive and take a fight? Another drone comes in. He may well have seen now the side of his screen. It's just a matter of time, though, and what an angle from ED. That is a massive opening pick for 7th Heaven.
Yeah, really, really tough there from Worthy. Once he got droned out, he had to really commit to something, and just absolutely got jammed into that position on those stairs. So that is going to be a great start from 7th Heaven. They've given themselves 2 minutes now to start working this map control that they've now obtained. And it's a different defense from Elevate. They had a heavy roam in their first attempt of Laundry, and it did work out. It meant that 7th Heaven didn't get map control, so of course the execute was quite tough for them and had to be a bit rushed. But now it's actually, besides Worthy, it's quite the turtle.
Makes you feel like Elevate have got to make some kind of play, whether it's now or whether it's late in the round. If they just sit and wait, 7th Heaven will surely start to mount an attack that will be too much to overcome with that man advantage.
Could just be the case. Taking a while to get this server hatch open. Finally, the Maverick does their job. And it's just 7th Heaven biding their time, really being careful to ensure that they're not getting flanked and just to ensure that they're getting these positions comfortably. Shigai going a bit early with some of those smokes as well. And Souffle looking to try and get this opening engagement close to sight here. If they can get this control, it's going to be real danger zone for Elevate. Ooh.
Sinnoh burnt that nade a little bit too much, and the second one also not successful. Weekend looking to drone in sight, sees the magnets, protecting Vast from projectiles, and time is ticking away. 35 seconds remaining. 7th Heaven going to have to step up massively. They've been biding their time. They have been patient, but now they have to turn it up. 25 seconds left, and finally the push comes in from Blue. Ray furthers that man advantage, but Elevate fight back. And that's a great flick from ED. It's a 3v2 now for 7th Heaven, and suddenly they take match points with a complete collapse onto the site.
Huge collapse there from 7th Heaven. Actually, tremendous pressure put onto Elevate. They really did try to fight back. It did come out to that 3-3, and I thought maybe we were going to see it come down to that little 1v1 situation, but no. 7th Heaven, they ate up that pressure. They threw it back, and here they are, a match point. It's a real danger zone for Elevate. Not only have they now lost the chance to get 3 points, they need 2 perfect rounds to be able to get even 1, and they're going to have to go to dorms, which was really not that successful for them last time.
Pressure is certainly mounting in the Elevate camp after they looked really good in a lot of these rounds. I feel like 7th Heaven has always been maybe not a whole step ahead, but at least a half step ahead, and have now finally broken away from Elevate. Not only did they break the trend of trading rounds 1 for 1, but they've just had a streak of 3 in a row. And it's put Elevate completely off kilter. 7th Heaven are taking this game by storm. And look, the pressure's not that high for them. They can win it outright here and get the full 3 points, or they could even concede 1 more round and still have a shot at the full 3 points. And if they did that, Raven, 7th Heaven would be at the top of the APAC South League standings, at least for now. But plausibly, by the end of the night, we could see 7th Heaven at the top of APAC South, which is crazy to think, after we expected, frankly, quite little of them this season.
Look, to their total credit, they have really stepped it up. As we've said, we had relatively low expectations just based on how they were performing in APAC North last year. But they have clearly gone back and done a lot of work. And again, you know, there's a lot that's changed in the game since Stage 2 last year. And I feel like the way that 7th Heaven has been playing, that has really favored them. So all props to them. They've been really working hard, and it's paying off. And if they do come out with these first 2 victories for the season, great place to be in for them.
For 7th Heaven, outside of their nationals, which they dominate, they just destroy everyone else. But outside of that, in APAC North and APAC South, they have always been the underdogs, and I think that they like that. Even coming into the first play day of APAC North, they were one of only 2 teams in the entire league that had never played in the former Pro League. And yet they came out, and in play day 1, they beat Scars, which at the time was the 2nd best team in Korea. And while they didn't necessarily keep that momentum running and do exceptionally well in APAC North, they certainly were punching above their weight from just a team that had only ever played in a fairly low-level national tournament. And here they are, giving Elevate a massive spanking, and have already done so last week as well to Order. They're just taking names.
They are. Really good momentum to have. And, you know, you made a good point about how they've always kind of been that underdog team, so to speak. And that can be a really interesting development for a team. You know, they're starting to be, you know, the top half of the table. Does that pressure start to get to them? They haven't been there before. It's an unfamiliar position. So if that continues to go, that might be something that starts to affect their later games. But again, they're putting so much pressure onto Elevate nice and early here in Attic. That being said, it has been almost 2 minutes. You guys still with some smokes in the pocket. 2, in fact. So he's going to be able to burn out a lot of time here. This was the linchpin.
I'm not sure it's actually possible now for Seventh Heaven to clear this. Those ADSs are sitting very safely, and all of the flashes have now subsided. All of the grenades have now gone. Oh, sorry, there's still 2 grenades left. I'm pretty sure then it's the Zephyr charges that went through as well. And Fisher guy likely to keep that shield intact for the rest of the round. Souffle, though, goes for the rotate, repelling on Games Window, finds the opening kill. And despite hitting that brick wall at Attic, it might be that Seventh Heaven have found another avenue, but Elevate fight back. 3v3, 30 seconds remaining, and Seventh Heaven, we've seen them come back from these deficits. And Fisher guys had to rotate off of Attic. What is the play now for Seventh Heaven? They've rotated over 2 games, just about ready for their execute.
And they go 10 seconds, the final countdown. They're going to have to make this pretty explosive to be able to pull this off. And if Plant starts to be stuck, he's under a lot of pressure. Speaking of pressure, the clock is about to expire. Diffuser goes down. That is going to be Elevate pushing and getting that round dev. They are extending this game as long as possible. They're staying in it. 5-6. They've got 1 round to push this to overtime.
Massive effort from Elevate to stay in the game. And this match has certainly been everything that we'd hoped for. In the pre-show, they were saying that the second game, Q-Confirm vs Knights, would be the match of the day. But if every game is as good as this one, then I don't think there can be a match of the day. It's just 100 miles an hour every single minute. Seventh Heaven have looked so damn good, but finally Elevate have broken their momentum. The first time they found a round win in the last 4 rounds. They're finally back in it, but can they push to overtime?
It's also officially the closest match we've had in APAC South so far. Granted, we only had 1 play day last week, but all those scorelines were 7-3, 7-2, 7-3, and a 7-4. So now we're finally getting a bit closer, and yeah, look, we felt like this was going to be a close game. We had some heavy predictions going in the favor of Elevate, but I think there's a general consensus that this was always felt to be a pretty 50-50 match. It's really hard to tell because Elevate have seemed like they're on the up, but so have Seventh Heaven. To seeing them go up against each other, it really was going to be that tussle, that tug of war of who is ahead of the other, and it has been that to the end.
Certainly has. Yeah, staring down match point once again. Ooh, Pika's got a fantastic drone in sight. But he even facilitated rush here. I really hope it happens. We have the Finker. How many players are spawned this side? Actually, not many. Most of Seventh Heaven spawning on the other side, but Pika may well have had one of his teammates on his drone and tempted to get in early. Could very well happen. There's no one from Elevate watching that side. Pika's going straight down the stairs. This could be a massive play from Pika. Finally, someone is watching it. He may well be punished here by Digital. The sprays go both ways. Pika is scared off, but might be cut off from the rover. How does Worthy lose that? Pika finds that opening kill, and the momentum is back for Seventh Heaven.
That was going to be such an important pick for Worthy, and now this drone again doing more work for Pika. He knows that Digital is looking to push. Digital instead, though, actually not going to push. He's going to barricade that and just go back to site. At least now he has a sound cue for if Pecan tries to push this again. But that was a really good start from Seventh Heaven. While Pecan didn't quite get the opening he was looking for in Laundry, he still did get the opening pick, and that drone just worked out so well for him.
Activating drone.
That Finker boost actually being to Ed's demise. The Finker boost increases the amount of damage you take from gas grenades. And so Ed took a whole chunk, even just with 1 inhale. As Seventh Heaven mount their push here on blue, but God Legion and Fisho both ready to receive. We Utility expended, and Visho guy meets Sinnoh with a shotgun to the face before retreating back. He may well reinforce over this, but Pecan's just gone straight into the site. Eventually a rethrow comes through. 30, what? There is just so much time remaining, and God Legion cleans house with the final 3 kills. Elevate push to OT.
Oh my gosh, Dev. Just sometimes this game just turns on its head and out of nowhere, these picks just fly out. God Legion with 3 in quick succession there. Saves the round and saves the match for Elevate. When Pecan was on site and he got Fisher on that rotate, I honestly thought that was going to be GG. But great job for Elevate to dig deep and hold it. We are going to overtime, so that means that Elevate have at least secured themselves 1 point. You know, their first point for APAC South. And they fight and get the 2 points.
Oh, certainly been tooth and nail, my God. This is starting to be really, really exciting. Elevate and the Seventh Heaven are definitely not the teams that you expected to be. I mean, just think about last year. Like, we could never have expected to see these teams go up against each other, and we didn't have any kind of indication of how they would match up. And this is finally a chance where we get to see these teams competing against each other across regions, and it's really exciting. It just goes to show how exciting APAC Siege is once you start to blend in the different sub-regions together. You get to see that clash.
Yeah, the thing I love about APAC, obviously besides the fact that we're in this region, so of course you might think we're a bit biased, but personally I just love APAC Siege because all of these sub-regions just have their own little flair. They all do things a little bit different. You know, it's so obvious what the Thai style is. You know, teams like Xavier and Q-Confirm have this unique style that is just beautiful to watch. And it's the same now we're starting to see from Seventh Heaven, you know, in the more Southeast Asian area, just developing their own little unique aggression. It's just, I don't know, I love it. And I think it's really exciting to see Oceanic teams now properly into that mix.
And OS teams, at least at this level, do typically kind of have that a bit slower play style, a bit more methodical. I guess perhaps inspired by Wildcard. Even Meloncat of the past had that kind of slowish playstyle. So definitely a bit of a contrast here. We get to see these more aggressive and more assertive Southeast Asian teams clashing with the OS playstyle. Speaking of, that's 5 players on site on your screens right there. So Elevate, they've tried heavy roams, they've tried everything, and this time they're trying to just anchor down on the site. They are confident that that is their best chance here against Seventh Heaven.
It's going to be a bit of a gamble, honestly, because what I feel like worked out so well for them in their first defensive laundry supply was that roam. It was just very elusive, and it made it tough for Seventh Heaven to get map control. And when they finally had a chance to push site, as you said, that map control came back against them, or lack of. So now this is Elevate saying, take the map, guys. We're just going to have to try and hold deep. Maybe they'll try and hit a flank. You know, we saw Worthy very keen on a flank in that previous round. Didn't work out for him. But maybe that's a nod to the playstyle that Elevate are going to try now on this laundry defense.
Most of Seventh Heaven shaping up on the south side, looking for potentially a laundry freezer push, which has been quite popular recently as opposed to, you know, a blue rear stairs push. Although they have gone through the motions of opening up the meeting hatch and preparing just about every possible opportunity to go on site. It's going to give Seventh Heaven a lot of chances. Worthy! In what world does he win that fight onto ED? And that is massive. He gets a second as well. Seventh Heaven looking to turn up the pressure here as Sinnoh and Pika start to go deep. But Elevate, hold firm.
Big step up there from Worthy. 45 seconds now. He's going to have to step up big again because he's getting peeked on. It's going to be Pecan getting that, but it's traded by Digital. A 4 versus 2 now, Dev. Seventh Heaven not giving themselves a whole lot of time to be able to get this execute. They have a good pinch happening. He's going to have to take some nutty fragging from these players.
Here's Souffle, of course, looking the wrong way. Almost loses his life for it. Sinnoh's gone deep. He's the last one left. But he goes down to Vast and Elevate for the first time in the match. Take match point.
This match, Dev, swings and roundabouts. We highlighted Seventh Heaven getting 3 rounds in a row. They bucked the trend. That got them the lead. And Elevate have just answered back with 3 rounds in a row of their own. And now on match point themselves, 7-6. It is an attack from Elevate, which we haven't seen for quite a while now, not since round 6. And they're going to have to attack Laundry.
Laundry was a mixed bag for, well, both of these teams. Seventh Heaven, they won it twice and lost it twice. I'm curious as to what kind of a playstyle they're going to lean into. It looks like they're doing what they did at the latter half of their defense, which was going for that roam, that heavy roam. Actually, it's a bait, potentially, with that Mozzie 6-picked onto Wamai. That's an information denial and roam-centric operator switching out for a more anchor-centric defense operator. And that may well hint that Seventh Heaven's actually going to play sight.
Might just be that. You know, the only round that Seventh Heaven did use the Mozzie for Laundry, they did win it. It was a disable, so Elevate did get in and get that plant down. But regardless, I felt like the Mozzie was effective because we've highlighted that Elevate on their attacks. They're pretty solid with their roam clear. They're really using that line to effect, to be able to freeze those roamers or freeze them on the rotates, clear them out. It's taking a bit of time, but with them getting the picks, it's giving them that man advantage to execute, and that is what had worked so well in their attack half. So might be a mistake there from Seventh Heaven, yet to see. Pecan, though, you know he's keen to be a little bit aggressive here. He might be looking to open up this match.
Needs to be careful though, because his utility doesn't all pop up at the start of the round. Those magnets generate over time, so to get the most bang for the buck out of the Wamai pick, he really needs to stay alive.
Cautious. Does get a drone and just rotates back, so again, he's not going to try and overextend at least just yet, but he's very keen to be aggressive around those big tower stairs. Elevate not taking too much time though to get in and take that map control. It's going to be God Legion, in fact, pushing in to try and make sure that Pecan doesn't get up in their face.
I like how he checked every tiny little corner and prone spot that Pecan may have decided to go for. You can see God Legion's having absolutely none of it.
First minute with no engagements. And this feels like a real chess of a round right now. It's just who's going to peek, who's going to get this opening pick. There's a lot of Elevate players stacked here over in Bunker. It's going to be repelled back by the smoke, but this is going to be very important next 30 seconds here. If they can flush out Sinnoh from elbow here, that's the shield gone. This could be big control from Elevate. It's going to be about who wins these engagements to get that pillar control.
Back against the wall for Seventh Heaven. Staring down match point for the first time this game, but Ed has an aggressive bullet hole angle. God Legion just about ready to swing the stairs when his team needs him. That Magnet also catching something out. Sinnoh looks for the peak, loses his head. And now Ed really needs to find a refrag. He does just that, but he's punished once again by Worthy. God Legion turns it up, and it's all on Ray to hold out against 4 Elevate players. It's been a fantastic showing for Seventh Heaven, but Elevate have mounted an enormous comeback, and they're looking to lock it in. Elevate score their first points of the APAC South League.
That was a huge attack there from Elevate. As you said, they do lock in their first points for APAC South. It is going to be 2 as an overtime victory, but nonetheless, they will be happy with that victory. I tell you what, Seventh Heaven really made them work for it, Dev. That was a tough fight right to the end.
No doubt about it. Seventh Heaven is a team to be feared in APAC South, but Elevate are also here to stay. The mental fortitude to mount a comeback like that is not to be understated. Elevate have taken their first points in this league and finally defeated a Southeast Asia team for, I believe, the first time ever in an official match.
I believe you're right. Yeah, Elevate. I mean, they got second in Pro League Season 11 way back at the start of last year, but we weren't able to see what the APAC Finals would look like.